Daniel Rivers had everything money could buy. At 35, he ran one of the biggest tech companies in the country. His days were filled with million-dollar deals, fancy restaurants, and meetings that decided the future of thousands of employees. But on this particular Saturday afternoon, none of that mattered because his expensive car had just died on a quiet highway, miles away from the city. He sat there for a moment, staring at the dashboard that had gone completely dark. The air conditioning stopped, and suddenly the summer heat felt overwhelming. Daniel loosened his tie and stepped out of the car, looking around at the unfamiliar countryside. Fields stretched out on both sides of the road, and he could see a small town in the distance. His phone showed only one bar of signal. After calling his assistant and being told it would take at least 2 hours for help to arrive, Daniel decided to walk toward the town. He wasn't used to walking anywhere, really. There was always a car, a driver, someone to take him exactly where he needed to go. But now, in his expensive suit and leather shoes, he found himself trudging down a dusty road like any regular person. The small town was nothing like the city he knew. There were no tall buildings, no rushing crowds, no honking traffic. Just a quiet main street with a few shops and what looked like a farmer's market set up in an open area near the town square. Colorful tents and stands lined the space, with people browsing casually, talking to vendors, taking their time. Nobody was in a hurry here. Daniel wiped the sweat from his forehead and headed toward the market, thinking he could at least get some water while he waited. That's when he saw her. She was arranging strawberries in small baskets, carefully placing each one so they looked perfect. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore a faded blue shirt and jeans. There was something about the way she worked, so focused and gentle, that made him stop and watch for a moment. She looked up and smiled at an elderly woman who approached her stand, and that smile seemed to light up her entire face. Daniel found himself walking toward her stand without really deciding to. "These strawberries are the sweetest you'll find anywhere. Mrs. Patterson," the woman was saying to the elderly customer, "I picked them fresh this morning. The rain we had last week made them extra juicy. You always know just what to say, Isabella." The elderly woman chuckled. "I'll take 2 baskets. My grandchildren are visiting tomorrow." Isabella, so that was her name. As she packed the strawberries carefully in a paper bag, Daniel noticed a little girl sitting on a blanket behind the stand. She couldn't have been more than 6 or 7, with the same dark hair as Isabella pulled into 2 braids. She was drawing something with crayons that had clearly seen better days, some of them broken in half, others worn down to tiny stubs. The elderly woman left with her strawberries, and Isabella's eyes met Daniel's. For a moment, neither of them said anything. Her eyes were warm brown, with little tired lines around them that suggested she didn't sleep as much as she should. But they were kind eyes. "Honest eyes, can I help you?" she asked, her voice friendly but a little curious. She had probably noticed his expensive watch and his suit that cost more than most people made in a month. I'd like some strawberries," Daniel said, feeling strangely nervous. He never felt nervous. He gave presentations to thousands of people without breaking a sweat. "Sure thing. How many baskets would you like?" Daniel looked at the strawberries. They were beautiful, deep red, and perfectly ripe. "What would you recommend?" Isabella smiled, and he noticed a small dimple on her left cheek. "Well, that depends. Are you eating them fresh, making jam, or baking something?" "Eating them fresh, I suppose." "Then 1 basket should be plenty unless you really love strawberries." She picked up a basket and held it out to him. "These are organic. I grow them myself on a small plot just outside town. No pesticides, no chemicals. Just good soil, sunshine, and a lot of hard work." Daniel took the basket, and their fingers brushed for just a second. "How much?" $6. He spent more than that on a single cup of coffee every morning. He reached for his wallet and pulled out a $100 bill. It was the smallest he had. Isabella's eyes widened slightly. "Oh, I don't think I have change for that. Let me check." She opened a small metal box, counting the bills and coins inside. "I've got $43 here total. I can give you that and owe you the rest?" No, Daniel said quickly. "Keep it. I'll take as many baskets as that will buy." She looked at him like he'd grown a second head. "That would be 16 baskets of strawberries." "Are you sure? That's a lot of strawberries." "Mama, is that man buying all our strawberries?" The little girl piped up from her blanket, looking up with wide eyes. "Not all of them, sweetie. Just a lot." Isabella turned back to Daniel. "Look, I appreciate the business, but that's way too many strawberries for one person. They'll go bad before you can eat them all." There was something refreshing about her honesty. Most people in his world would have gladly taken his money without a second thought. "Then I'll give them to my employees," Daniel said. "They'll appreciate them." Isabella studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. "All right, if you're sure." She started packing baskets into a large cardboard box, moving efficiently. "You're not from around here, are you?" "Is it that obvious?" "The suit kinda gives it away. We don't see many suits at the farmer's market." She smiled, and there was no judgment in it, just amusement. "Car trouble? How did you know? You've got that look of someone whose day didn't go according to plan. Plus, you walked here. Nobody walks in this heat unless they have to." Daniel found himself smiling. "You're very observant." "You have to be when you're selling strawberries," she said, finishing packing the last basket. "You learn to read people, figure out what they need, what kind of day they're having. Makes it easier to connect with them." "Mama, can I show him my drawing?" the little girl asked, already getting up from her blanket. "Sophia, don't bother the customer." "It's no bother," Daniel said, surprising himself. He usually avoided children. He didn't know what to say to them. Sophia held up her drawing proudly. It showed a sunny sky, a small house, and what appeared to be rows of strawberry plants. In the corner, she'd drawn 2 stick figures, one tall and one small. "That's me and Mama," she explained. "We live in the house and we grow the best strawberries in the whole world." "It's beautiful," Daniel said, and he meant it. There was something pure about the drawing, something hopeful. Isabella's expression softened as she looked at her daughter. "Sophia is my little helper. She comes with me every Saturday to the market." "Every Saturday?" Daniel asked. "Every Saturday," Isabella confirmed. "Rain or shine. This stand is how we make our living." There was no self-pity in her voice, just simple fact. Daniel found himself wanting to know more about her story, about how she ended up here selling strawberries with her daughter by her side. His phone buzzed. A text from his assistant saying the car would arrive in 15 minutes. "Well, your help should be here soon," Isabella said. As if reading his mind again, she handed him the box of strawberries. "These should last about 3 days in the fridge. Make sure to rinse them right before eating, not before storing." "Thank you," Daniel said, taking the box. It was heavier than he expected. "Same time next week?" Isabella looked surprised. "You're coming back?" "Best strawberries I've ever had," he said, though he hadn't tasted them yet. She laughed, a genuine warm sound. "You haven't even tried them yet." "I have a good feeling about them." As he walked away with his box of strawberries, Daniel glanced back once. Isabella was helping another customer, but Sophia waved at him with a big smile. He waved back, feeling something unfamiliar stirring in his chest. For the first time in years, he was actually looking forward to next Saturday. The strawberries sat in Daniel's office refrigerator all week, a reminder of something he couldn't quite explain. His assistant, Kevin, had raised an eyebrow when Daniel asked him to distribute the baskets to the staff, but didn't ask questions. By Wednesday, Daniel had received at least a dozen emails from employees thanking him for the unexpected treat. Apparently, they really were the best strawberries anyone had tasted. Saturday morning came, and Daniel found himself making excuses to his usual weekend golf partners. "Something came up," he told them vaguely. Business matter, it wasn't entirely a lie. He told himself he was simply curious about small business operations, about how people made a living outside the corporate world. That's what he told himself as he drove the same highway, this time in casual clothes, jeans, and a simple button-down shirt. He'd never worn jeans on a Saturday before. The farmer's market was busier this week. Families strolled between stands, children running ahead while parents browsed vegetables and homemade goods. Daniel spotted Isabella's stand easily. She was there, same faded blue shirt, arranging her strawberries with the same careful attention. Sophia saw him first. Mama, it's the strawberry man." Isabella looked up, and for a moment surprise flickered across her face. Then that warm smile appeared. "Well, I didn't actually expect to see you again. Thought maybe you were just passing through last week." "I told you I'd be back," Daniel said, approaching the stand. "And those strawberries were incredible. My entire office is in love with you." She laughed. "With my strawberries, you mean?" "Right, that's what I meant." He felt his face warm slightly. "Mr. Strawberry Man, want to see my new drawing?" Sophia held up a picture she'd been working on. This one showed the market with lots of people, and a very tall stick figure that Daniel suspected was supposed to be him. "Sophia, his name isn't Strawberry Man. Isabella said gently. I'm sorry. I don't think we actually introduced ourselves properly last week. I'm Isabella Rodriguez, and this is my daughter, Sophia. Daniel Rivers. He shook her hand, noticing again how her palm had calluses from hard work. Nice to officially meet you, Daniel. So, are you here for more strawberries, or did you just come to check if they're really as good as you remember? Both, maybe. He paused. Actually, I was wondering if you might need any help today. I've got nothing else planned. Isabella tilted her head, studying him with those observant eyes. You want to help sell strawberries? Why not? I've never done it before. Could be interesting. Daniel, you don't strike me as someone who does this kind of thing for fun. Maybe that's exactly why I should try it. She considered this for a long moment, then shrugged. All right, but I can't pay you. Business is decent, but not that decent. I'm not asking for payment, just something different to do. And that's how Daniel Rivers, Billionaire CEO, spent his Saturday afternoon selling strawberries at a farmer's market. Isabella showed him how to arrange the baskets attractively, how to tell which berries were at perfect ripeness, and how to make small talk with customers that made them feel valued, not just like another transaction. You've got to make eye contact, she instructed as they worked side by side, and actually listen when people talk. Mrs. Chen over there, she always tells you about her grandson. You listen, you remember his name, and next week you ask how he's doing. That's how you build relationships. Daniel found himself fascinated. In his world, relationships were strategic. You networked, you made connections that benefited your business. You calculated the value of each interaction. But here it was simpler, more genuine. People weren't numbers or assets. They were just people. Around midday, Sophia tugged on his sleeve. Are you hungry? Mama always brings sandwiches. Sophia, don't bother Daniel with that, Isabella said quickly. Actually, I am pretty hungry, Daniel admitted. I left the house without breakfast. Isabella sighed, reaching for a small cooler behind the stand. It's nothing fancy, just peanut butter and jelly. My favorite, Daniel lied. He'd probably never eaten peanut butter and jelly in his life. His chef prepared meals with ingredients he couldn't even pronounce. They sat on the grass behind the stand during a slow period, Sophia between them, and shared the simple sandwiches. Daniel was surprised to find he actually enjoyed it. Maybe it was the company. So what do you really do, Daniel? Isabella asked, watching him with curious eyes. And don't just say business. I know it's more than that. I run a tech company. Software development, mostly. It's not that interesting. Must be pretty successful, though, judging by that watch you wore last week. He'd forgotten about that. I do okay. Sophia, her mouth full of sandwich, pointed at a small booth across the market. Mama wants to have a booth like that someday, with a real tent and a sign and everything. Sophia, Isabella said, a slight warning in her tone. What? The little girl said innocently. You said it's your dream. Isabella's cheeks colored slightly. Dreams and reality are different things, sweetie. Our stand works just fine. Daniel looked at the simple table and handwritten sign. How long have you been doing this? 2 years now, since... She trailed off, glancing at Sophia. Since it became just the two of us. I worked at a restaurant before, but the hours were terrible. I barely saw Sophia. A friend's grandfather had this small plot of land he wasn't using anymore, and he let me use it to grow strawberries. Figured I could make my own hours, be with my daughter, and still pay the bills, mostly. Mostly? Daniel picked up on the word. Some months are better than others. Winter is tough since nothing grows. I pick up shifts at the diner in town when I need to. We get by. She said it matter-of-factly without asking for sympathy. The afternoon wore on, and Daniel found himself enjoying the rhythm of it all. The interactions with customers, Sophia's constant chatter, the simple satisfaction of making someone happy with a basket of fresh fruit. It was so different from boardrooms and quarterly reports. Around 4 o'clock, a woman approached the stand, her designer handbag immediately catching Daniel's attention. She looked familiar, and when she got closer, his heart sank. Victoria Chen, an investor's wife, someone from his usual social circle. Daniel? Daniel Rivers. Her voice was loud with surprise. What on earth are you doing here? Victoria. Hi. He stood up, very aware of Isabella watching the interaction. I'm visiting my parents in town, and I cannot believe. Are you selling strawberries? She laughed, not unkindly, but as if she'd just witnessed something absurd. Just helping out a friend, he said evenly. Victoria's eyes moved to Isabella. assessing her in that way wealthy people did, calculating worth based on appearance. How sweet. Playing farmer for the day? She turned to Isabella. You're lucky to have such dedicated help. Though I imagine you don't usually get billionaire CEOs volunteering at your little stand. The word billionaire hung in the air like a bomb. Isabella's expression changed, something shuddering behind her eyes. Sophia looked up, confused by the tension that had suddenly appeared. I'll take 2 baskets, Victoria said, still smiling. And Daniel, you simply must come to the charity gala next month. Everyone's been asking where you've been lately. Can't have you hiding out in farmers' markets forever. She paid, took her strawberries, and left with a little wave. The silence that followed felt heavy. Billionaire, Isabella said quietly, not looking at him. CEO. Isabella, I can explain. You let me talk about struggling to pay bills. About picking up shifts at a diner. She shook her head, starting to rearrange baskets that didn't need rearranging. You must have thought it was all very quaint. Very charming. The poor single mother and her strawberry stand. That's not what I thought at all. Then what, Daniel? What are you doing here? Is this some kind of experiment? Slumming it with regular people for entertainment? No, he said firmly. I came back because last week was the first time in years that I felt like a real person, instead of just a job title. Because talking to you felt genuine. Because Sophia waved at me like I was just some guy, not someone to impress or ask favors from. Isabella finally looked at him, her eyes guarded. We live in completely different worlds. You know that, right? You probably spent more on your car than I'll make in 10 years. What future could possibly come from this? I don't know, Daniel admitted. But does everything need a calculated outcome? Can't something just be what it is? Before Isabella could respond, Sophia tugged on her mother's hand. Mama, why are you upset? I like Daniel. He's nice. Isabella's expression softened as she looked at her daughter. She took a deep breath. You're right, sweetie. He is nice. She turned back to Daniel. I'm sorry. That wasn't fair. You've been nothing but kind, and I attacked you for something that isn't your fault. You don't need to apologize. I should have been honest from the start. Why weren't you? Daniel considered the question. Because for once I wanted to be just Daniel. Not Daniel Rivers, CEO, not the guy people want things from. Just a regular person buying strawberries. Isabella studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Okay, I can understand that. As the market began to wind down and vendors started packing up, Daniel helped Isabella load her remaining baskets into her old truck. The vehicle had clearly seen better days with rust spots and a dent in the passenger door. Same time next week? He asked, not sure what answer he wanted to hear. Isabella paused, one hand on the truck door. Are you going to keep pretending you're just some regular guy? No more pretending. Just me being myself, whoever that is. She smiled, a small, genuine smile. Then yeah, same time next week. But you're not working for free anymore. I'm paying you in strawberries. Deal. As he watched her drive away, Sophia waving from the passenger window, Daniel realized something important. He'd spent years building an empire, accumulating wealth and success. But he'd never felt as rich as he did in this moment, having earned one afternoon of trust from Isabella Rodriguez. The next few weeks fell into a comfortable rhythm. Daniel showed up every Saturday morning, and Isabella stopped being surprised to see him. They worked side by side at the strawberry stand, talking about everything and nothing. She told him about Sophia's struggles with math homework, and he found himself genuinely invested in a 7-year-old's multiplication tables. He told her about the pressure of running a company, and she listened without judgment, offering perspectives that his high-paid consultants never considered. You know what your problem is? Isabella said one Saturday, as they restocked baskets during a quiet moment. You think too much about what could go wrong. Sometimes you just have to trust your gut and go for it. That's easy to say when you're risking a batch of strawberries. I'm risking millions of dollars and thousands of jobs. Is it really that different, though? If my strawberries fail, Sophia and I don't eat. That's my whole world on the line every season. The size of the risk doesn't change the fear. Daniel had never thought about it that way. In his world, people with less money were often dismissed as not understanding real pressure. But Isabella carried the weight of her daughter's future on her shoulders every single day, with no safety net, no backup plan. That took a kind of courage he was only beginning to understand. Sophia had warmed up to him completely. She'd started saving her best drawings for him, presenting them proudly every Saturday. Daniel found himself buying a folder to keep them in, storing them carefully at his apartment like they were precious documents. Because to him they were. One Saturday, Daniel arrived to find Isabella looking worried, her usual smile strained. "What's wrong?" he asked immediately. She hesitated, then sighed. "It's nothing. Just business stuff." "Isabella, I can see something's bothering you." She bit her lip, then gestured to her strawberry plants in the truck bed. "There's a late-season cold snap coming tonight. It could damage everything. I've been trying to figure out how to protect the plants, but I don't have the equipment I need. A frost blanket system would work, but it costs money I don't have right now." "How much?" "Daniel, no." "I'm not asking you for money. I'm not offering money. I'm asking how much so I know what we're dealing with." "We?" She raised an eyebrow. "We," he confirmed. "Come on, let me help. Not as a billionaire trying to solve problems with cash. As a friend who cares about your strawberries." Isabella looked at him for a long moment, then her shoulders sagged slightly. "I don't even know if it's worth it. Maybe I should just accept the loss and start over next season." "That's not the Isabella I know. You're a fighter." Before she could respond, Sophia came running up out of breath. "Mama, Mama! My school is having a special day next week. A father-daughter breakfast thing." She held out a crumpled flyer. "But I told my teacher I don't have a daddy, so I probably can't go." The words were matter-of-fact, but Daniel saw the flash of pain in Isabella's eyes. She knelt down to Sophia's level. "Hey, remember what I told you? We're a team, you and me. We don't need anyone else." "I know, but all my friends will be there with their dads. And I'll be the only one." Sophia's voice got smaller. Daniel found himself speaking before he thought it through. "I could go, if you want. I mean, if your mom says it's okay." Sophia's eyes went wide. "Really? You'd come to my school?" "Sophia, Daniel is very busy," Isabella started, but he interrupted gently. "I'd be honored. That is, if it's all right with your mom." Isabella looked between them, and Daniel could see her wrestling with the decision. Finally, she nodded slowly. "If you're really sure, it would mean a lot to her." Sophia squealed and threw her arms around Daniel's waist. He stood there, awkwardly patting her head, completely unprepared for the wave of emotion that crashed over him. When had he started caring so much about this little girl's happiness? That evening, as Daniel drove home, his phone rang. It was his best friend and chief operating officer, Ryan. "Where have you been disappearing to every Saturday?" Ryan asked without preamble. "And don't say golf, because I checked with the club. Just getting some fresh air, exploring new perspectives." "Daniel, I've known you for 15 years. That's corporate speak for something you don't want to talk about. What's going on?" Daniel found himself telling Ryan everything. About the broken-down car, about Isabella and Sophia, about the farmer's market. About how he'd been spending his Saturdays selling strawberries and somehow feeling more alive than he had in years. There was a long pause on the other end. "Are you having some kind of crisis? Should I be worried?" "I'm not having a crisis. I'm just, I don't know. Tired of everything being a strategy, every conversation being calculated, every relationship having an agenda. And this woman, Isabella, she doesn't know what you can do for her. She knows I have money. She doesn't want anything from me except to show up and be genuine. When's the last time someone wanted that from me, Ryan? Just me, not what I can provide or invest or solve." Another pause. "You're falling for her. That's not what this is about. Daniel, I'm your friend. I can hear it in your voice. Just be careful, okay? You're thinking with your heart, which isn't necessarily bad, but don't lose your head completely." The following Tuesday, Daniel showed up at Sophia's school in casual clothes, trying not to stand out. The father-daughter breakfast was in the cafeteria, decorated with colorful streamers and children's artwork. Sophia spotted him immediately and ran over, grabbing his hand and pulling him toward a table. "This is Mr. Daniel," she announced to her friends. "He's my special person for today." "Is he your dad?" one little girl asked directly. "No, he's my friend. But he's really nice and he helps my mama sell strawberries." The breakfast was simple: pancakes, fruit, and orange juice. But sitting there with Sophia, helping her cut her pancakes, listening to her chatter about her favorite subjects and her best friend Lily, Daniel felt something shift inside him. This was what mattered, not the next business deal or the stock price or the board meeting. These small, genuine moments. He didn't notice the parent in the corner taking photos to post on the school's social media page. He didn't see the woman recognize him and take a few pictures of her own. He was too busy listening to Sophia explain why butterflies were better than ladybugs, a debate apparently critical in second-grade social circles. By Monday morning, those photos had spread far beyond the school's website. Daniel's assistant came into his office looking panicked, tablet in hand. "Sir, we have a situation." Daniel looked at the screen and felt his stomach drop. The photos from the breakfast were everywhere. Social media, gossip websites, even a few news outlets. The headlines varied, but the message was the same. Billionaire CEO's secret family. Tech giant Daniel Rivers caught at father-daughter event. Who is the mystery woman and child in Rivers' life? "Get PR on this immediately," Daniel said, but his mind was racing. This wasn't about him. He could handle media attention. But Isabella and Sophia didn't sign up for this. He tried calling Isabella. No answer. He tried again. Nothing. By lunchtime, reporters had found the farmer's market. They'd found Isabella's small house on the edge of town. His phone was flooded with texts from business associates, friends, and his mother, all asking the same questions in different ways. His mother's text was the most direct. "Office now." Patricia Rivers sat behind her desk at the family's investment firm, her expression ice cold. She'd built an empire alongside her late husband, and she'd expected Daniel to expand it. She did not expect scandal. "A single mother selling strawberries?" she said, her voice dangerously quiet. "Daniel, what are you thinking?" "I'm thinking I met someone genuine for the first time in years." Genuine? Or opportunistic? How long before she starts asking for money? Before she claims that child is yours? Sophia isn't mine. Isabella hasn't asked me for a single thing. This is real. Real. His mother laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You've known her for what, a few weeks? Daniel, you're not some naive college student. You're the head of a multi-billion-dollar company. People will use you. Isabella isn't using me. Then why haven't you brought her to any events? Why keep her hidden if this is so real and genuine?" "Because I knew this would happen." The judgment. The assumptions. The circus. His mother stood up, walking to the window. "I've already had my lawyers draw up an NDA and a settlement offer. She signs it, agrees to stay away, and she receives enough money to be comfortable. Everyone moves on. You did what? I'm protecting you, and if you won't do it, I will." She handed him a folder. "Have your assistant deliver this to her. Let's end this cleanly before it becomes a real problem." Daniel took the folder, feeling numb. "And if I don't? Then you're a fool who's going to learn a very expensive lesson about trust." He left his mother's office, drove straight to Isabella's house, and found her standing on her small porch, arms crossed. Sophia was visible through the window, playing inside, blissfully unaware of the chaos. "There were reporters at the market today," Isabella said before he could speak. "Asking questions about us, about what you give me, what I want from you. One of them asked Sophia if you were her real father. Isabella, I'm so sorry. I never wanted this to happen. I know you didn't, but it did happen, and now Sophia is asking questions I don't know how to answer. Now people in town are looking at me differently. Some think I'm lucky. Some think I'm a gold digger. Nobody is just letting me be me anymore. We can fix this. I'll make a statement, clear everything up." She shook her head slowly. "Daniel, look at us. Really look at what's happening here. You come from a world where everything is public, where people analyze and dissect every relationship. I come from a world where I just want to grow my strawberries and raise my daughter in peace. These worlds don't mix, not without someone getting hurt. So what are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe this was a nice few weeks, but it's not reality. Reality is that reporters are harassing me, that Sophia came home crying because a kid at school said mean things, that I can't even go to the grocery store without people whispering. This isn't the life I want for her. Isabella, please. We can figure this out." "How, Daniel? By hiding, by pretending, or by putting Sophia and me in the spotlight permanently?" She looked tired, so tired. "I think you should go. I think we need some space to figure out what's real and what was just a fantasy." Daniel stood there, the folder from his mother still in his hand, feeling like everything good was slipping away. "I care about you. Both of you. That's real. I know you do. And that's what makes this so hard." She went inside, closing the door gently but firmly between them. Daniel sat in his car, staring at the folder. Inside was his mother's offer. Money in exchange for silence, for distance, for pretending these weeks never happened. He tore it in half and threw it in the back seat. Some things, he was learning, couldn't be solved with money. and some mistakes couldn't be undone, no matter how much you wished you could go back to a simpler time, selling strawberries at a farmer's market. Just being Daniel. Daniel threw himself back into work with a vengeance. 16-hour days, back-to-back meetings, business trips that kept him away from home for weeks at a time. His assistant noticed the change. Ryan noticed. Everyone noticed. But nobody said anything because the quarterly numbers were excellent, and isn't that what mattered? Except Daniel knew it didn't matter. Not really. He'd close $1 million deal and feel nothing. He'd give a presentation that earned standing applause and feel empty inside. Every Saturday morning, he'd wake up and have to remind himself not to drive to the farmer's market. It had been 3 weeks since he'd seen Isabella or Sophia, and the absence felt like a physical ache. "You look terrible," Ryan said, dropping into the chair across from Daniel's desk one afternoon. "When's the last time you slept?" "I sleep. I mean actually sleep, not that thing you do where you close your eyes for 3 hours and call it rest." Ryan leaned forward. "Have you talked to her?" She asked for space. "I'm giving her space. Space, not exile." "There's a difference," Daniel rubbed his eyes. "You should see the comments online, Ryan. People saying she's a gold digger, that she trapped me, that Sophia isn't even really her daughter. One article suggested I was having a midlife crisis. Another implied she planned the whole thing to get money from me. How do I protect them from that? How do I ask them to deal with that kind of hatred? You don't. You stand beside them and face it together. That's easy to say when it's not your life being torn apart." Ryan was quiet for a moment. "You know what I think? I think you're scared. Not of the media or the gossip. You're scared because for the first time in your life you found something real, and you don't know how to fight for it without your usual weapons. You can't throw money at this. You can't negotiate or strategize your way through it. You actually have to be vulnerable, and that terrifies you." Before Daniel could respond, his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something made him look. It was a photo of Isabella's strawberry stand. Except it wasn't just her stand anymore. Someone had spray-painted words across her table. "Gold digger." Her baskets were knocked over, strawberries crushed into the ground. The damage was clear, deliberate, cruel. Daniel's blood ran cold. He tried calling Isabella, no answer. He called the local police department, reported what he'd seen, then grabbed his keys. "Where are you going?" Ryan called after him. Where I should have been weeks ago, the drive felt endless. Daniel's mind raced with worst-case scenarios. Was she hurt? Was Sophia okay? Why hadn't she called him? But then, why would she? He'd given her space. He'd stayed away like she asked. Maybe she didn't think she could call him anymore. When he arrived at the market, Isabella was there, kneeling beside her ruined stand, trying to salvage what she could. A few other vendors stood nearby, offering sympathetic looks but keeping their distance. As if her problems might be contagious, "Isabella," Daniel called out, jogging toward her. She looked up, and he saw she'd been crying. Her eyes were red, her face exhausted. "Daniel, what are you doing here?" "Someone sent me a photo. I came as soon as I saw." He knelt beside her, taking in the damage up close. "Are you okay? Is Sophia?" "Sophia's at a friend's house. She doesn't know yet." Isabella's voice cracked. "This is the third time this week. First someone threw eggs at my truck. Then someone left a nasty note on my door. Now this." She picked up a crushed strawberry, staring at it. "I can't afford to replace all this. This was supposed to be my income for the next 2 weeks. I'll replace it. Every basket, every berry." "No." She said it firmly, looking at him with those tired eyes. "This is exactly the problem, Daniel. You swoop in with your money, fixing everything, but money doesn't fix this. Money doesn't stop people from hating me. It doesn't protect Sophia from hearing her classmates say her mother is a bad person. Then what do I do? Tell me what to do and I'll do it." "I don't know." The words burst out of her. "I don't know, okay? I thought if we stopped seeing each other, the attention would die down. People would forget and move on. But it's getting worse. Now they think I got what I wanted from you and you threw me away. Or they think I'm still secretly seeing you. Or they think a dozen other things that aren't true. I can't win." An older woman from a nearby vegetable stand approached cautiously. "Isabella, honey, maybe you should take a break from the market for a while. Let things cool down. I can't take a break. This is how I pay my rent, how I feed my daughter." "What about that job at the diner?" the woman suggested. "I heard they were hiring." "They were." Isabella's voice went flat. Until the owner's wife saw my picture online and told him not to hire me, said I'd bring drama to the restaurant. Daniel felt anger rising in his chest. This is wrong, all of it. You've done nothing except be kind to people, and they're treating you like you committed a crime. Welcome to what happens when regular people get mixed up with billionaires, Isabella said bitterly. She stood up, brushing dirt off her jeans. I'm serious about leaving, Daniel. My cousin lives 3 states away. She has a spare room. Sophia and I could start over there, somewhere nobody knows about any of this. You'd leave? Just give up everything you've built here? What have I built? A business that's now destroyed? A reputation that's ruined? I came to this town 5 years ago with nothing, and I built a life for Sophia and me. A small life, but it was ours and it was good. Then you came along and everything fell apart. The words stung, but Daniel knew she didn't mean them cruelly. She was hurt, scared, backed into a corner. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I'm sorry for all of it. For not thinking about the consequences. For not protecting you better. For being selfish enough to keep coming back when I should have realized what it would cost you. Isabella's expression softened slightly. You're not the villain here, Daniel. You were just being yourself. But sometimes being yourself isn't enough when the whole world is watching and judging. A police car pulled up, and an officer got out to take Isabella's statement about the vandalism. Daniel stood back feeling helpless. This was what he hated most, being unable to fix something, unable to make it right. After the officer left, promising to increase patrols but admitting they probably wouldn't catch whoever did this, Isabella started packing up what remained of her things. Let me help, Daniel said. You've helped enough. Then, seeing his face, she sighed. I'm sorry. That wasn't fair. Yes, you can help. They worked in silence, loading the damaged table and remaining baskets into her truck. Other vendors had started to pack up too, the day clearly over. When are you leaving? Daniel finally asked. I don't know. A week, maybe 2? I need to give notice at Sophia's school, pack our things. She paused. I haven't told her yet. She's going to be devastated. She loves it here. She has friends, her teacher, her little routine. She talks about you, you know, all the time. Mr. Daniel this, Mr. Daniel that. You made her feel special, like having just a mom wasn't something to be ashamed of. Daniel's chest tightened. She is special. You both are. Isabella loaded the last basket, then turned to face him fully. I believe you mean that. I really do. But meaning it isn't enough to change reality. You have your world and I have mine, and when they tried to meet in the middle, everything caught fire. So that's it? You're leaving and I'm supposed to just go back to my life like none of this happened? What else is there, Daniel? We tried, it didn't work. Sometimes that's how life goes. Not every story gets a happy ending. She climbed into her truck and Daniel watched her drive away, probably for the last time. The market was empty now, just trash blowing across the pavement and the fading smell of fresh produce. He stood there as the sun began to set, feeling more alone than he'd ever felt in his life. His phone rang. His mother. I heard about the vandalism, she said without greeting. Are you satisfied now? This is what happens when you don't listen. That woman and her child are paying the price for your stubbornness. This isn't her fault. I never said it was. But it is reality. Your world chews up people like her and spits them out. I offered her a clean exit and you tore it up. Now look what's happened. Daniel ended the call without responding. His mother was right about one thing. Isabella and Sophia were paying the price. But she was wrong about the solution. Money couldn't fix this. Distance couldn't fix this. He sat in his car for a long time thinking about the life he'd built, all those years of success and achievement, about the person he'd become, isolated at the top, surrounded by people but utterly alone, about Saturday mornings that now felt hollow, about a little girl who drew pictures with broken crayons and a woman who grew the sweetest strawberries he'd ever tasted. Ryan had been right. He was scared. Scared of being vulnerable, of not having control, of risking everything for something that might not work out. But staying scared meant losing the only real thing he'd found in years. He pulled out his phone and started typing. Not a text to Isabella. She needed space, and he'd respect that. But a different kind of message. One that would go public, that would say what needed to be said, regardless of the consequences. If his world was going to judge Isabella, then maybe it was time to change his world. Or at least try. The sun set completely, and Daniel sat in the empty parking lot, his thumb hovering over the send button, knowing that once he pressed it, There would be no going back. His old life would be over. The question was whether he was brave enough to start a new one. Daniel pressed send. The statement went out on every platform. His personal accounts, the company's official channels, everywhere. It wasn't written by PR consultants or lawyers. It was just him saying what needed to be said. My name is Daniel Rivers, and I need to set some things straight. A few months ago, my car broke down, and I met someone who changed my perspective on everything. Her name is Isabella Rodriguez, and she's a single mother who works harder than anyone I know. She grows strawberries, runs her own business, and raises an incredible daughter named Sophia. She didn't seek me out. She didn't want anything from me except basic human decency, which she showed me from day one. The media turned our friendship into a scandal. People who don't know Isabella have called her terrible names, made assumptions about her character, and worse, they've targeted her daughter. Let me be absolutely clear. Isabella never asked me for money. She never asked me for anything. If anything, I've been the one asking, trying to find a way into a life that was already complete before I came along. I'm stepping down as CEO of Rivers Technologies, effective immediately. My COO, Ryan Mitchell, will take over, and I have complete faith in his leadership. I'm doing this not because of scandal or pressure, but because I've realized I've been living the wrong life. I've spent years building a company while forgetting to build a life worth living. I'm starting a foundation to support small farmers and single parents, people like Isabella who work multiple jobs and still struggle to make ends meet, not as charity but as investment in the backbone of our communities. These are the people who deserve support, recognition, and most importantly, respect. To those who have harassed Isabella and her daughter, you should be ashamed. To those who spread rumors and hate, you've revealed more about yourselves than about her. And to Isabella, if you're reading this, I'm not trying to fix things with a grand gesture. I'm just trying to do what's right, regardless of what happens between us. You and Sophia deserve peace, and if my stepping back gives you that, then it's worth it. Within an hour, the statement had gone viral. His phone exploded with calls, texts, emails. His mother called 6 times. He ignored all of them. The only call that mattered never came. Ryan showed up at his apartment that night, letting himself in with the spare key Daniel had given him years ago. That was either the bravest thing you've ever done or the most reckless, Ryan said, dropping onto the couch. The board is in chaos. Your mother is threatening to sue me for not stopping you. The media is having a field day. I know. Do you? Because you just gave up everything you've built. No, Daniel said quietly. I gave up a job. There's a difference. Ryan studied him for a long moment. You really love her, don't you? I don't know if it's love. I haven't known her long enough to call it that. But I know she made me want to be better. Not richer or more successful. Just better, more real, more human. He laughed without humor. And now she probably hates me even more because I've made things worse with that statement. Or, Ryan said slowly, you've shown her you're willing to put action behind your words. That's not nothing, Daniel. The next morning, Daniel woke up to find his story had taken on a life of its own. But this time the narrative had shifted. People were sharing their own stories of struggling to make ends meet, of being judged unfairly, of single parents who deserved recognition. Someone had started a fundraiser for Isabella's business. Within 24 hours, it had raised enough to rebuild her stand 3 times over. Daniel didn't know if Isabella had seen any of it. He still hadn't heard from her. He'd kept his promise to give her space, even though every day felt like torture. A week passed. Daniel spent his time setting up the foundation, meeting with lawyers and accountants, figuring out how to turn his words into meaningful action. He'd meant what he said. This wasn't about winning Isabella back. This was about doing what should have been done years ago. On Saturday morning, out of habit more than anything else, Daniel drove to the farmer's market. He didn't expect to see Isabella there. She'd probably already left town, started her new life somewhere nobody knew her name. But when he pulled into the parking lot, he saw her truck. His heart nearly stopped. The stand was different. Someone had built her a proper booth with a real tent and a hand-painted sign that read, Isabella's Strawberries. The table was new, sturdy, and her baskets were arranged more beautifully than ever. But it was empty. No Isabella, no Sophia. She's not here yet, a voice said. The older woman from the vegetable stand approached him. But she's coming. She decided to stay. She stayed. After your statement, things changed. People felt ashamed, I think. They realized they'd been cruel to someone who didn't deserve it. Some folks got together and fixed up her stand. Others have been stopping by her house, apologizing. It's not perfect, but it's better. The woman smiled. You did a good thing, young man. A really good thing. Daniel sat on a nearby bench and waited. Vendors set up their stands around him. The market came to life. And then he saw Isabella's truck pulling in, Sophia in the passenger seat. Sophia spotted him first. She jumped out of the truck before it even fully stopped and ran toward him. Mr. Daniel, you're back. I missed you so much. She crashed into him with a hug, and Daniel felt tears prick his eyes. He hugged her back, this little girl who'd somehow become so important to him. Isabella approached more slowly, carrying a box of strawberries. She stopped a few feet away, just looking at him. Hi, Daniel said, because he couldn't think of anything else. Hi, she replied. Sophia bounced between them. Are you going to help us again? Please say yes. I saved all my drawings for you. I have like 100. Sophia, why don't you go start setting up the baskets like I showed you? Isabella said gently. I need to talk to Mr. Daniel for a minute. Sophia skipped off to the booth, humming to herself. Isabella set down her box and crossed her arms, but not in an angry way. More protective. I saw your statement. Everyone saw your statement. I'm sorry if I overstepped. I just couldn't stand by and watch people hurt you. You gave up your company. I gave up a job that was making me miserable. There's a difference. She almost smiled at that. Ryan called me. Did you know that? Told me you've been impossible to work with for weeks. Not sleeping, not eating properly, basically turning into a zombie. Ryan talks too much. He cares about you. So do a lot of people, apparently. She took a deep breath. The fundraiser, the foundation, the public statement defending me. Daniel, that's a lot. It's what you deserved. What you and Sophia both deserved. I should have done it weeks ago. I was going to leave, Isabella admitted. Had the truck half packed. Sophia was crying, I was crying. Then your statement came out and my phone started blowing up with messages from people apologizing, offering to help. The school principal called to say Sophia would always have a place there. Mrs. Chen from the grocery store cried and said she was sorry for believing gossip. She shook her head, wonder in her voice. You changed things. Really changed them. People just needed to see the truth. Maybe. Or maybe they needed someone to show them how to be better. She stepped closer. I'm scared, Daniel. Scared of getting hurt. Scared of Sophia getting hurt. Scared that this is all going to blow up again somehow. I'm scared too, he admitted. Terrified, actually. I've never felt this way about anyone. I don't know what I'm doing. But I know I want to try. If you'll let me. Isabella was quiet for a long moment, then she reached out and took his hand. Her palm was calloused and warm. No more secrets. No more hiding. If we do this, we do it honestly. Together. Together, Daniel agreed. And you have to understand, Sophia and I are a package deal. You don't just get me. You get a 7-year-old who talks constantly, leaves crayons everywhere, and will absolutely make you watch the same cartoon movie 50 times. I can handle that. And my life isn't fancy. I don't go to galas or charity events. I sell strawberries at a farmer's market. Some weeks are good, some weeks are tough. That's the life I want, Isabella. The real one. With you, Sophia called out from the booth. Are you guys done talking? Because people are starting to arrive and I need help. Isabella laughed, that warm, genuine sound Daniel had missed so much. Duty calls. You coming? Try to stop me. They walked to the booth together, hand in hand. Daniel helped Sophia arrange baskets while Isabella greeted customers. It felt right. Normal. Real. 6 months later, the farmer's market had a new regular feature. Daniel and Isabella's booth had expanded, now selling not just strawberries but other organic produce from small farmers Isabella had partnered with through Daniel's foundation. Sophia had her own small section where she sold her drawings, with all proceeds going to the local children's hospital. Daniel had learned to grow strawberries properly. His hands had calluses now, and he'd never been happier. He and Isabella had moved slowly, carefully, building something solid. No rush, no pressure. Just steady, honest progress. On a sunny Saturday morning, as they worked side by side and Sophia entertained customers with her enthusiastic sales pitches, Daniel pulled a small box from his pocket. Isabella Rodriguez, he said, and she turned to him, eyes widening as she saw the box. I know we said we'd take things slow, but I also know I want to spend every Saturday for the rest of my life selling strawberries with you. Will you marry me? Sophia gasped dramatically. Mama, say yes. Please say yes. Isabella was crying and laughing at the same time. You want to marry a strawberry farmer? I want to marry you. The strawberries are just a bonus. Then yes. Yes, definitely yes. Sophia cheered so loudly that half the market turned to look. Daniel slipped the ring onto Isabella's finger, and she kissed him right there in front of everyone, not caring who was watching or what anyone thought, because sometimes the best love stories don't start in fancy restaurants or romantic getaways. Sometimes they start with a broken-down car, a farmer's market, and the sweetest strawberries you've ever tasted, and sometimes, if you're very lucky, they end with a little girl drawing pictures of her new family, a woman who taught you what really matters, and Saturday mornings that feel like coming home.